Welcome to the Sassy Biker Sister podcast. I'm your hostess, Erin Bailey. We will be hearing from some amazing lady bikers around the United States and beyond. Whether you have ridden, hope to ride soon, or currently ride motorcycles, front, back, or sidecar, this podcast is a can't miss. We will share some of the best roads, destinations, tips, and laughs as we chat with our Sassy Biker Sisters.
Hey, Sassy Biker Sisters. Today we talk everything Buffalo Chip. Toni Woodruff is the daughter of the Chip's owner, Woody. Together, the Woodruff family has provided the best party for bikers since the early 80s. Toni is also the director of Biker Bell's Women's Day at the Chip. Encouragement, empowerment, mentorship, and charity are what the Biker Bells are all about. Welcome, Toni. We're going to change it up just a little bit today. Tell me about your ride.
Oh, my ride. Yes, well, I started on two wheels with a much larger engine horsepower, and currently most of my riding is done on 1 horsepower with 4 legs. So many people don't know this about me, but half of my life at least is spent on a ranch cowboying and alongside my husband. And so when I was riding my motorcycle all the time, he really wanted to go horseback riding. And so I picked my horse and off we went. So a lot of times I like it. My hair doesn't fly quite as fast in the wind, but it's still that same beautiful feeling of freedom. I think that often most people feel on the road, that independence, that confidence that comes from just kind of being one with your bike or being one with my horse. We're out there in the open range or on the twisty roads, and I get a lot of that similar feeling when I'm riding horseback. And sometimes I can satisfy that and get some work done at the same time.
There you go. Well, tell me about your horse. What's his name?
His name is Cheddar. He's a gelding. He's a dun horse. And one time I had my hair dyed to match his. We're still a little bit the same because we're both aging together. So some of the gray hairs come out together. But he's just been a true steed for me, always really reliable. Just like on motorcycles, you have to get your right fit. So, you have to find the one that fits you the best. Our teenage boys raised him up and then gave him to me when he was like kind of perfectly trained. So that made it a lot easier for me. But you have to get your right saddle. You have to have the right saddle to the right fit on your horse. Same thing with motorcycle. You want your certain reins. Some people ride with the different equipment. And I learned a lot of that as women. 15 years ago when we started Biker Bells, women were still talking about trying to find the right gear, because everybody was wearing their brothers or their fathers or men's styling, and not, the length of your arms to the reins, to your handlebars is different. Stature, no matter what size you are, women are just a little bit shorter in that regard. So you have to really customize those things down. What grips you have, if you're going to lower your seat. Same thing on a horse, you do the same kind of process of what are your favorite gloves? What are your working gloves? What are your fancy gloves? What boots do you wear on the holiday? What boots do you wear on your work day? I mean, you have kind of a whole closet full of attire. So Cheddar has treated me really well in my 1 horsepower. And when I've fallen off of him, he's helped me get back up. Which your motorcycle doesn't do, but you can learn how to use your motorcycle's weight to help you. It's not a living being, but sometimes it feels like it is.
That's very true. Sometimes it has a mind of its own.
Yeah.
That's very true. Let's look at 2 wheels. So when did you start riding motorcycles?
I started riding motorcycles in my mid-30s.
Okay.
With the Buffalo Chip, this is our 42nd year of our event here at the Sturgis Buffalo Chip. And it's a family business with my dad and our stepmom, Carol, and my brother and Damon and myself. And so motorcycling has kind of been around in my life for a long time. And I thought, gosh, as I started getting more involved in the business, 20, 25 years ago, it was like, I should probably ride, learn how to ride. My dad had bikes around, and I'd ridden 2 up of most of my life. And so I went out and I bought a little, Suzuki 650 Cruiser, like many women do, and started out on that. And I took the rider safety course, which was incredibly important. And I strongly recommend anybody and everybody to do that. Harley Davidson offers a great learning course that we've been promoting through Biker Bells. And, but really any community you can go and get in a group and do take the safety riding course. I'm sure it saved my life a few times. So I lived in Seattle at the time, and I was a lone woman rider. There weren't a lot of ways to connect with other women riders at that point in my life. And so I took the course and I bought the bike and I started driving on like water-laden steel bridge decks in the urban environment and completely freaking myself out. But I stayed up, right? Sunny side up. So
Yeah.
I was happy about that, and found a couple other ride partners, which were male friends primarily, which really guided me and were helpful and kind, which I think a lot of times they get the short end of the stick when we're talking about women in motorcycling and women in women's events. But really, a lot of us have some great brothers, fathers, uncles, partners, friends, husbands, boyfriends, good old people that have ridden alongside us and adventured with us and support us in getting on our own bikes because they like to ride their own bikes.
Right.
And then others who don't mind if you're, two-upping on the back, which, we all pick selectively who that driver is if we're the rider, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very true. So do you still ride 2-up once in a while?
Oh yeah, I do. I love it. Yeah, it's great. It's actually offers me a lot of freedom. I think 2-up community sometimes, and like I said, in women's don't get as much feedback, but there's also strategy and products and gear for 2-upping too. If you're going to be riding on the back of the bike, how do you do it comfortably and what do you need? But I love it because I can pay attention to taking photographs, which is one of my passions, and I can kind of just enjoy the wind and the air and kind of meditate and zone out, and someone else can make those decisions. Are we going left or right? And just enjoy the ride. So I think there's a lot to do with the 2-up community, and with Biker Bells we certainly celebrate that, and we'll be honoring that throughout our programming for the year. So
let's talk a little bit about Biker Bells. So you said that this will be the 15th year?
Yeah, it's amazing. We all just kind of woke up one day and went, oh, it's 15 years. Yeah, so it's crazy. It started as, Gloria Struck and Chris Summer Simmons and Laura Clock and a woman by the name of Meg McDonough. We were all sitting around a picnic table at the Buffalo Chip, really looking for a way to recognize the women that paved the way early on and to give money back to the museum to support the Sturgis Motorcycle Museum and Hall of Fame, to support women's exhibits specifically. We're sitting there with 3 Hall of Famers right there and kind of going, well, Gloria is a different category coming upon almost being 100, but she's been our patriarch special guest forever. And we just, cherish her time with us at Biker Bells and have so many fond memories of her leading us. And then, the next generation through with Chris Simmons and Laura Clock and land speed record holders and distance riders and the Cannonball Run and really all these journeys of antique motorcycles. And, how do we really celebrate that and inspire the next generation coming up? So we always say that Biker Bells was really created as a way to honor our past and empower our future. And that future has changed in those 15 years a lot, because we've seen some of our young girls grow up to be, our new leaders in that generation. So we have the Carly Cobbs and, Laura's daughter is now coming in, and one of our fondest younger sisters is no longer with us. Of course, Jessie Combs, that we honor and recognize every year and support the Jessie Combs Foundation in her memory. But she was one of our really catalysts, I would say, to moving forward and creating change for women. So it started there, and it's just grown organically. Every year we've had an event at the Sturgis Buffalo Chip. It's Biker Bell Tuesday during Bike Week in Sturgis, and we have now expanded to an entire day of programming. So it starts with the morning ride, which is supported and sponsored in partnership with Harley-Davidson Motor Company, which we're very grateful for. And then we come and we have a reception, and we have food provided by Bonafide Food Love, and a lot of visiting and support from our sponsors. And then we have a bike show, an all women's ride-in bike show, which last year and this year will be presented by Maiden Moto and Savannah Rose. The Jessie Combs Foundation comes with the real deal, and we do some hands-on fun welding and pinstriping and some other activations. We have involved our garages with our Fozzie's Garage and Lloyd's Garage. We'll be doing some more things with that this year for women and learning more about their bikes and, the parts and what they want to do to gear them up or to play around. A lot of playing around
Sure.
with our motorcycles. So, it's expanded to an entire day for women in the community.
And this year's date is?
Tuesday, August 8th for Sturgis, and we're fortunate in 1 week or so, we have March 8th, which is International Female Ride Day. We also have the Daytona ride, the morning ride with Biker Bells and Harley Davidson kicking off at 7:30, March 8th, Wednesday during Daytona Bike Week. And kickstands up at 9 at the Speedway at the Harley Davidson headquarters. There's all kinds of chatter going on about Daytona right now, and everybody's like, and it's such a different beast than Sturgis, and to do both of them, it's a little bit different. And everybody's talking about it, and I'm wondering, who all's going to be there and how we'll do it. But we have our ride captains, Laura Clock from our legacy family, and then we have Maggie Hicks, who's a newer adventure bike rider, and so we have a lot of people helping to lead our ride.
Yeah, I've been watching the Ladies in Leather. So Amber Cohen was one of our interviews, and we actually went to Ladies in Leather in Arkansas last year, which was a ton of fun.
It's people in the industry you hear about, you try to meet up. I can't tell you, it's been 3 years, I think, since Amber and I have been kind of hitting and missing and communicating and talking, and finally we connected. And I'm so grateful for her and her group of women coming upon the ride with us. It's exciting, and just excited to see. She sent me a photograph of a big group of her women. I don't know how she does what she does, because, I tried to do this once a year at Sturgis, and she's doing it reinventing the wheel every time. And it's phenomenal.
Yeah, she's been busy. She just had the meet and greet in Austin, and that was really well attended. I saw the group pictures there. So
yeah, that's what she sent me. I was like, wow, that's awesome. So yeah, over the years, people often ask us, is Biker Bells a club or a ride group? And I said, no, really, we just started as a place to gather. We just started as a home for women, because it was literally before social media was what it is today. And so it's well, if I don't see you, I'll see you Biker Bell Tuesday, and then we'll plan from there. We'll plan a ride. We'll figure out which concert we're going to go to. We'll get together. That's when we'll connect. And so we've had some phenomenal speakers and presenters over the years. And we've also mostly just had a lot of women in the room that got to know each other or got to see each other again. And I think that's the important part. We've been talking about this a lot. Before Harley Davidson was doing their homecoming, we were talking about how this year, being our 15th anniversary, really feels like coming home, bringing all of our founders and our longtime supporters like Vicky Sanfilippo and Ellie Raines, and they all got these big things that are going on. And Diva Amy, my ambassador for Biker Bells for the last 12 years, I think, and she's just saved me. All these people coming together and really honoring the fact that we've been doing this for so long and connecting. So it's like coming home. I said it's like Christmas, again, my Christmas reference. It's kind of like Christmas where you come home, you want your comfort food, you want to eat your mashed potatoes and meatloaf that your mom always makes, and then, you hang out in your old room and it all feels cozy, and you see all your friends at the bar, and, it's small town life come back. Right. And then you go back to your other adventures in life and your independence and stuff. But there's something comforting about, coming home and having that familiarity of knowing you're going to be welcomed, you're going to be safe, you're going to be informed, you're going to be inspired. And that's really what Biker Bells has been, is it's the safe place to come emotionally, physically. We try to really focus on that, both for safety issues with ride safety. COVID taught us all a new lesson around the globe about what we wanted to do to feel safe. And so we just incorporate all these things that are particular to women. Like you said, if you're a single woman and you're riding out there independently, which now there's probably more women riding independently out there than there ever has been, I think, and doing these solo trips. And it's so inspiring to see Empowered, doing her journey, or, someone getting ready to ride across country and know that they're going to be connected to other women who will help them be safe and be informed. Like Gavin Fax last year was our ride captain. She's been a part of Biker Bell since the beginning. She's just a phenomenal story in and of herself. But she's such an advocate for, inspiring new riders and independent riders and women on the road. And she's been a real valuable asset to us.
And that's a big part of it. Not only are you just meeting other women and you're safe and you're, in a place with like-minded people, but you meet friends, and these are longtime friends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always impressed. I feel like when you're the party thrower, you kind of, everybody's in your kitchen, but you just like all you're doing is dishes.
Right.
And so, a lot of times when you're the party event planner, you don't get to see all those connections at the time. You kind of hear them going around you. And then later people come back and tell you how meaningful it was, or they'll start crying, telling you that this inspired them and changed their life or something. And it's so touching to feel like I've been somehow a small piece of, that moment of change for that person in their life. So we've done that like hundreds and hundreds of times without really knowing it, just because you bring people together and you connect them in a way that's meaningful. So we just keep doing that. So Biker Bells is really, open to women, men, all people who support women in motorcycling, and, riders, non-riders, two-uppers, independent riders. And really, it's just about community and just bringing that forth. And while we're doing it, we're raising money for charity. I mean, we kind of forgot all that, right? We raise funds for the Sturgis Motorcycle Museum and Hall of Fame, specifically for women's exhibits. We raise funds for Helping with Horsepower, which is Laura Clock's charity that we started so we could help empower young girls initially, and now it's expanded to youth to change their lives, and it's expanded to veterans, and it's expanded to an equestrian program. So we also have, Helping with Horsepower has multiple horsepower or 1 horsepower, just like my house. So that's pretty exciting, and so we love giving to that charitable cause as well, and the Jesse Coombs Foundation for scholarships I mentioned earlier. And we have in the past given to All Kids Bike for Strider Foundation for getting kids on bikes, because you got to get them on 2 wheels sometime.
That's right.
Got to start before they're 35, like me.
Yeah. Me too.
I did graduate to stealing my dad. My favorite motorcycle was my dad's Dyna Lowrider. He had this great motorcycle that was just fit our bodies right. My dad's a small framed guy, and so for me, it was about the right size. And that was my bike, my favorite bike to steal. I could lift it up when it dropped in the grocery store parking lot. The Fat Boy was a little harder to deal with initially. And of course, I unloaded that one too at some point. But
well, let's talk for a minute, because we do keep it real. So let's go ahead and talk about your whoopsie. Do you have a whoopsie, motorized or not motorized, you'd like to share?
Well, like to share would be the key element there. I think that all of us have one or more, really about going down. But I think one of mine it was one of my first ones when I trailered my bike out of the city with a male friend of mine who was a very experienced rider. And he said, you just need to get out of the city for a while and go ride some open roads. You'll feel a lot better. So we went up in the mountains, out in the open fields. And I was going up this, up incline, twisty curve. It was so fun. And I did what every new beginner does. Instead of leaning in, I got scared and I leaned out. And sure enough, right on the gravel, I just skidded, and tore up my whole left leg pretty bad. And I'm laying there thinking, oh, I got to go to New York for this really fancy pants, cocktail dress wearing thing in a week. I'm not going to look so good. That's the first thing that goes through my mind. I'm thinking, that's just terrible. And I'm laying there thinking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I got to get up and move and make sure all my parts of my body work and get my bike up. And I knew what I had done. So I was criticizing myself and, knew it was just a stupid error and really a beginner's error. And my friend had, sailed way ahead of me, and he kind of was circling back, but right before he got back was this guy that came by in this little red pickup, and he's just like this drop dead gorgeous young man, and he gets out of his truck and he's like, need any help? And I'm like, no. Like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I got this. Inside my head, I'm thinking, yeah, I do. I don't know what to do. And, but I was going to let him know that, at all. My ego kicked in pretty strong. And so then, I kind of crawled out from under my bike, and I knew how to leverage and pick up my bike. I had been taught that in my class.
Yeah.
So and it was pretty lightweight, and I could do that. And about that time, my friend had rolled around, and he's like, okay, are you okay? And he goes, did you chicken out in the curve? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah, I did. And so then we went back, and the best thing he ever did for me at that point, he just let me get myself up and gathered. And for me personally, that's what I needed. And then we went back down the hill, and we started back up, and we just did it all over again immediately. And I've learned that too on horse. You get bucked off. If you wait a day to get back on, you're a day too late. You got to do it right then. From my perspective, everybody has a different approach, and I really respect that. For me personally, though, like, I really needed to just go back in and prove to myself that I did know how to do that. That I could go into that curve, and I could, go fast, and I would be okay. And so then I started going faster in curves, and that was super fun. So that's my funniest oopsie is more about embarrassment and ego.
We all have them.
Yeah.
We do. But good for your friend to realize that that's what you needed, and good for you for, knowing that that's what you needed.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And I think that's what happens with a good ride partner is they encourage you to continue on and help you correct. If there's something you're doing wrong, you need to have somebody give you that feedback. But I do think that it's good to have a ride partner that you trust, that you can make mistakes in front of. And for a lot of women, that's other women because it's safer. They feel more capable of being vulnerable in the environment. But I think you just have to choose your person. I think it's different for everybody.
I agree.
It's still like a reminder of how do we ask for help? Because we all need help, and it's really about recognizing that and then finding a way to feel comfortable asking for the help you need. And that can be in life in general. It can be riding, a horse can be riding, a motorcycle can be in navigating your life. I mean, we've had so many female authors and, comparison writing their motorcycle life story. So when we do Biker Bells and we used to do like a 6-person panel, and we'd go around and tell me about your motorcycle life.
Yeah.
So when you started talking about how you've learned how women really all have these stories, that's how it became revealed to me, was that really we're here to create a space for each woman to share their story and someone else to find a thread of that they connect to, that inspires them or makes them feel better about maybe their own journey and their own story. And so, I love these stories that the women tell of how they came into motorcycling. And so we all have those moments of needing to ask for help, learning how to make change, and being inspired or motivated. Like Diva Amy motivates me every time I see her. She just had her birthday, and she's on Instagram, all the social channels, and she is so vibrant. Like her personality is vibrant. Her motorcycle, the Diva Glide 2 now, Paul Yaffe designed, and it's just all bedazzled and spectacular. And the story of her bike is incredible. If you really look through each of the elements she's included in that. And she just lives such a vibrant life that when I'm feeling dull and kind of pasty on a gray South Dakota winter day, and I don't want to go out and feed the chickens or whatever chore I have, I think about how vibrant her life is and inspires me. And I whenever I need to feel motivated about Biker Bells and inspiring young women, I can talk to Chris Simmons and talk to Laura Clock, and I can say, what do we need to do next, women? Like what's going to be there for it, And so I've been working closely with the younger generation, with Lauren Swanson from Harley Davidson, and Maggie Hicks, and Emily Stewart, and Jess and her 2 wheels, and everybody who has their Instagram handles. You have to know like 4 names for every person anymore, but they're out there doing it. And so it kind of kicks me in the butt and gets me rolling.
Yeah.
And when I first started Biker Bells, it was like all these women came with all this energy and all this passion, and I just did not know how to channel what to do with everybody. And the goal over the years is just to find a place for everyone. What's your passion? What do you want to be doing? And the numbers are growing, and so it's hard to connect with each of those individuals. I mean, it really used to be like, an advisory council of 5, now
Right.
it's like 500. So I'm grateful that it's growing. A couple of years ago, we had the suffragist ride that went through with Elisa Thickinger, and she was doing the ride cross country to DC, and we were working with that, and we were talking about women riders and women's empowerment and how much things have changed in 100 years of being able to vote and have a voice. And I was thinking that of the quote, because I've always been really selective about Biker Bells being inclusive of women and men who support women in motorcycling, and not to be too really just centric on one part of us.
Yeah.
And so I kept thinking of this Gloria Steinem quote that the fact that we have a day to represent us means we haven't reached our goal. So, because it's still very separate. I mean, we're very different. We will always be different beasts than our counterparts in the male world. But the thing that quote really stuck in my head, as my mother was like, now and, the 70s was a big deal for women's change. And I thought, well, the other day I was thinking when I was trying to keep up with social media and all the women's groups and these young groups with Lauren and Maggie and Emily and Kelly. And I was thinking, we are getting closer to not needing our own day because it's getting spread and shared more equitably than I think it ever has been before. And that's inspiring. I think we still have a lot of work to do, and it's still really fun just to get together with your girlfriends and have tea or coffee or beer or wine or whatever, go for a ride. I don't want to take away from that. But as far as an integrated, like, just get with your friends and ride, I think that's happening way more now than it ever has in our history. Yeah. So I'm grateful for that.
Me too. Let's switch gears real quick and talk about the Buffalo Chip in general. So the night of Biker Bells, which is the Wednesday, it looks like you've got Styx and REO Speedwagon coming that night.
Throwback from my era. Sorry,
I know.
Yeah, REO and Styx, geez, we can all tell stories about that, I think.
So that looks fun. And then you've just released the Sunday Leonard Skinner. That's the Sunday prior, which is going to be a lot of fun. So you've got some great bands lined up.
Yeah, it's been 42 years of doing the band lineup for the, Best Party Anywhere. And, it's turned into the largest music festival in motorcycling. And it really is. It truly is this great party of gathering, just like the community. They develop their own little neighborhoods. They got themes and everybody camps out together and, off they go to the show that night, right? So it's really fun. I mean, people have a great time camping out in different ways and then making new friends with their neighbors and, lifelong friends, and gumbo night at, aisle 40 or whatever their campground is. The way the rock and roll world works is you can't announce everybody all at one time usually, because that's not how it works. And so we have to kind of tease it out over time as we make those decisions and they make their decisions. And we're really excited with the announcements that we've made so far, but we do have some coming very soon that will be more, intriguing and big announcements that I think people will like. But we try to find a variety for everybody. So there's a little bit of old school, there's a little bit of rock and roll, there's a little bit of metal, there's a little bit of country. And there, and as we advance forward, there'll be a more variety of new bands coming in. So we try to link some of our older bands with younger, newer bands coming in, or we mix genres, people you might not expect, like Snoop Dogg was a huge hit and nobody expected that to come to the table. So that was really fun. And then we have throwback nights, like Styx and REO Speedwagon coming is just really fun because it's one of those where everybody will know every word to every song. Even if you didn't know who sang it back when, you'll know every word to every song. And it's just a good vibe and hangout, And Leonard Skinnard is our house band, practically now. And that last time they played was going to be their last tour, last show of their last tour. And we were able to kind of have them come back for their 50th anniversary and house band for us. And that's always a great party. I'm sure that this year will not fail us for good times had by all, because really, as my brother often reminds us in staff meetings weekly, our mission at the Buffalo Chip is to throw the best party anywhere. And that has all these elements of fun and frivolity and great music and great friends. And everybody always ends up in the kitchen at a house party. So usually everybody ends up in the same place in the amphitheater, and we all have a really good time. They all have their own thumbprint. Like every year might have kind of the basic same thing. We're going to be doing some concerts. We're going to be doing some rides. We're going to be raising money for charity. We've raised over $2 million for charity so far. And so we love all those parts of it, but we know that it's going to feel different. Each year is going to have its own little signature, and we're going to remember little parts of that, whoever it is that entered our life that year, or who left our world that year, or what story will you tell? So it's a lot of fun, and mostly it's my father's deepest passion. He just loves this business and industry. As a family, we're so honored, my brother and I, as much as it is challenging to be in a family business, as anybody who's ever done that, it's different operational style, because really it started with just my dad and our stepmom, Carol, and, doing everything. I mean, they were like a mom and pop business, Dad and Carol just have been doing everything in the business and brought me and then my brother in over time in more business related roles. So then you learn all these things about, like, for me, it was really humbling, because I got to learn about my father, not as my father, but as how his peers see him, or how I would see him as a business partner. And I got to hear, I got to learn a different side of him and who he is. And it deepened our relationship and extended into our family. So my brother and I and Carol, we were all worked together to kind of continue this passion of our fathers and bring it out to the community.
The biggest compliment for an event is for people to come back.
Yeah,
it just is. Ask, what are you doing next year? I can't wait to see the lineup. I've already made my reservations. I think that's fantastic.
It is a really big compliment when people choose to spend their time and money with us for their vacation. Certainly then we feel a responsibility to have their vacation successful, but it really is an honor that they've chosen us, because there's a lot of choices out there in the world. People are telling me they've been here every year for 25 years for the entire time of the rally. Wow. 2 weeks of their life every year for 25 years consecutively, they spent it with us. And it was great to hear their stories. It wasn't just one couple or one person. I mean, it was a lot of people. And that still rings true even with change today. There's so many people that return. And the great thing is they come back with other friends and other family members. And some of them have been around a long enough time, they bring their kids back when they're adults, One of the other hats I wear is I serve on the tourism board for our region and our state. So for the Black Hills region. And in South Dakota, tourism is a huge part of our economic, bank. And we really rely on that. And so we feed it as well. And we want to encourage people to come out and see our beautiful country and, to go to places besides just Mount Rushmore or Crazy Horse, but to go to those, hidden gems. And on our marketing team, Mary had written a blog a while ago with this, the hidden gems of the Black Hills, good rides to do and other businesses to support. And that's been wonderfully received and continues to be shared by our state tourism often. Just because of that. But we do live in one of the most beautiful places on the planet. The Black Hills is absolutely gorgeous riding. If you ask what is one of my favorite rides, well, it's Spearfish Canyon. It's no secret. Everybody loves that beautiful ride. When you hit the pine line, you get up high enough in the altitude that the pine trees are there, and that you're riding, and it just hits you in your face. It's just that smell, and it's so refreshing. And it's almost, for me, it just like really wakes me up, it wakes my senses up and wakes my mind up. And I feel alive, and I think a lot of times that's the way we feel when we're really in that Zen moment of riding, where we're really present to the universe, present to what is before us, and I think that's the place where we really reconnect.
Let's talk a little bit about accommodations at the Chip. Yeah, you've got a wide variety, from primitive camping almost all the way up to cabin rentals and RVs that come in for the whole time. Tell me.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't know, first of all, that, we are this large campground, that the concerts are free in the camp. You pay for camping and you stay here. And there's kind of these different neighborhoods. There's different kinds of camping. We certainly have designated tent camping. So if you're old school and you roll up with your tent on the back of your bike or hauling a little trailer, there's a spot for you along the creek bed with the trees to set up and pitch your tent and kind of make sure you know where all the restrooms are. And the shower houses, because we do have really nice private shower house, and then we have public shower houses that are men and women's divided, and we have food and beverage and general store on site. A lot of people don't realize, like, you really kind of have everything right here that you need. You don't really have to leave unless you want to go for a ride or you want to go explore some other new area, but everything you need is still right here. So we have tent camping, we have dry RV camping, so just bring your own RV and park it. A lot of people do that with their toy haulers and stay on their trailers. We have private rental privies. So if you want to have your own outhouse next to your dry camping area, you can have that. We have RVs that you can rent that are set up and operational for you once you get here, that are hooked up to water and power, and have service for the pump service. We have cabins that you can rent that accommodate different number of people. We do have VIP camping, which is more catered with a hostess and comes with some extra privileges like a catered meal every day and a reception area and some kudos for viewing of the music and those kinds of things, special services. And we have some, also in that category, we have some catered tent camping options that are available. So, you have a hostess for your tented area, and it comes and it's kind of set up with cots and things of that, little fridge, things of those nature. So there's really a wide variety for kind of something for everyone in every budget. Some people, ride their motorcycles. Some people haul their motorcycles. Some people don't ride a motorcycle, but come and camp with their friends and go to the concerts and hang out and have a good time. And so there's just a lot of ways to come here. We try to make it so there's something for everybody.
Do you have any sponsors that you want to talk about?
Well, I'm always grateful for them. We have our sponsors for Biker Bells, but we also have, like Progressive. We're very grateful for their partnership, and Russ Brown attorneys, and Billy and Twisted Tea. They're such great supporters of ours. Man, he supports Biker Bells. He supports Sturgis Buffalo Chip. He gives me umbrellas whenever I need. Pepsi has been with us for a long time. We just have such long-lasting partnerships that really bring a lot to the table and offer us something special for our customers. We're hoping some great opportunities for that. So, we do love our brand alliance programs, and it's really geared towards what can we provide our customers. The Buffalo Chip was created as kind of a response to a call, right? So they kicked the campers out of City Park in Sturgis, and they needed a place to go. And so Woody said, well, why don't you come out here? We'll have have some beer and some music for you, and you can pitch your tent. And so it really evolved over those years of the customers saying, hey, it would be really nice if you had, a stage. And so it changed how we did music. Dad always tells the story when the women started showing up more frequently in the rally, then that's when we started getting requests for bathrooms and showers and accommodations that were a little more in line with that. We have our own medical staff and advisory doctor and paramedics on site. We really pretty much can handle anything in that regard, and working closely with law enforcement and medical staffing for any needs. So if people are here, that happens too. People get dehydrated or off of their regular routines and medications, and stuff happens. You burn your leg in a pipe. That one happens to everybody every year. We have those Band-Aids. So it's just, we just grow organically by listening to what the people want. So when we look at our sponsorships and our brand alliance relationships. It's really in response to what our customers can benefit from and what they would like. So we're happy and grateful for all of them. It's something we're really, really proud of, and it's really important to be able to give back in a meaningful way to those organizations in the community that make a difference. We're a pretty small community, but have a pretty big need too.
Do you have any advice for women that might want to get into the industry?
Well, I think the best way to get involved in anything is to just get in at the grassroots on the ground, just start helping out, participating, go on the event and be a part of it as a participant and see the things that, are meaningful to you and what your takeaways are, and then connect with those people maybe that are leading it or have influence on it, and connect with them and see if there's a place for you to do your own thing or bring something more to the table or share your ideas or get more involved. And I think it's just really like kind of an organic, natural growth. Thankfully, in the motorcycle community, like I said, it's such an open community in the sense of I found it very welcoming. So if there's things that you want to be involved in, most people don't discourage you from being involved in them. Get involved. If you're not involved in the social world, it's really difficult. I'm not very social publicly. I'm more verbal personally and one-on-one. I'm like, this conversation is really good, but I'm actually kind of reserved and shy in the big world of communications. But I think those people that are out there putting themselves out there, that's way they're connecting now. I think a lot of people do that in coming to Buffalo Chip. Yeah. I think that's their time away to be out of their ordinary skin and away from their public responsibilities, and they can come here and make new friends that don't know anything about them, and they get to share what they choose to share and not what's already known somewhere else. And I think that in that way a lot of authentic relationships and friendships are made, and I think that's one of the things that is characteristic of what makes us successful, is that when people are here, they're authentic with each other, and we give them the space and time to do that. As long as we can keep doing that, then I think we'll stay in business.
Well, very good. Thank you so much for spending time with me. This has been so much fun.
I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Well, I will see you soon. I'll see you in Daytona and then a little bit later in Sturgis.
All right. Stay care.
Safe. All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening today. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to check the show notes for more information, websites, and coupon codes. If you have questions or suggestions, feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram or Facebook at Sassy Biker Sisters. Until next time, stay safe and stay sassy.